At some point, every one of us will face a moment in life that tests not just our knowledge, but our true wisdom. This wisdom isn't something that can be found in textbooks or learned from a lecture hall. It's shaped by the choices we make, the lessons we gather from challenges, and the triumphs that follow. Today, we're going to dive deep into a powerful exploration of how, often without realizing it, we can fall into patterns that limit our personal growth. There are subtle behaviors and signs that suggest we may be acting in ways that hinder our progress. The goal here isn't to criticize, but to foster growth. This isn't simply a list, it's a mirror, a chance to reflect on what might need changing so we can lead richer, more fulfilling lives. As we go through this, I invite you to reflect and engage. If you find value in the insights we're about to share, I'd be honored if you'd take a moment to subscribe and stay with me through the entire video. Don't skip a part because each step of this journey could reveal a key insight that unlocks a new door in your pursuit of wisdom. Drawing from timeless Stoic philosophy, we'll reflect on how we can challenge ourselves and embrace the courage needed to make real changes. Let's begin. Change is inevitable. It comes with the sunrise, and yet, it's one of the hardest things to welcome. Change disrupts what we know, pushes us out of our comfort zones, and forces us to question long-held beliefs. But here's the catch. Resisting change can actually hold us back from some of life's greatest opportunities and lessons. When we stubbornly hold on to the familiar, we may miss out on the chance to grow, innovate, and improve in ways we never imagined. Think of life as a river, constantly flowing and changing. Stoic philosophy teaches us to accept the natural course of life's flow, just as a river does. The Stoics understood that while we cannot control everything that happens, we always have control over how we respond. Resistance to change is like trying to block that river with our bare hands. It's not only futile, but also leads to frustration and suffering. Consider a time when you resisted a change. Maybe it was a career shift, moving to a new city, or adopting a new routine. Initially, these changes may have seemed daunting, but looking back, how did your resistance impact the process? Often, when we embrace change, we open ourselves up to new perspectives and opportunities that allow us to adapt and flourish in unexpected ways. But why do we resist change? It's not just fear of the unknown. It's also about fearing the loss of comfort or control. This fear keeps us rigid, limiting our potential. Yet, Stoicism offers a profound counter. True strength and freedom come from within, from our ability to adapt and accept, rather than clinging to external certainties. Embracing change doesn't mean passively giving up on our desires or ambitions. It means actively engaging with life's transformations, making conscious decisions about how we respond, and finding ways to align them with our values and goals. Take, for example, the changes in your workplace. New technologies or processes can disrupt the status quo. However, adapting to them isn't just about keeping up with industry standards. It's about personal growth. By learning new systems or strategies, you're not just helping your company evolve, you're also building skills that enhance your own career and professional development. So, the next time you face a change, no matter how big or small, pause and ask yourself, what is this resistance really telling me? Is it fear or genuine concern? How can I align this change with my personal growth and values? By asking these questions, you aren't just surviving the flow of life's river. You're learning to navigate it skillfully, using change as a tool to carve a more meaningful path for yourself. We all have a tendency to look outward when things go wrong. Blaming others is an easy escape from the discomfort of admitting our own flaws. However, blaming others can erode the foundation of our personal growth. At first, it might feel like a small thing, but over time, it can weaken everything we've built. Blaming others is a defense mechanism that protects our ego, but every time we shift responsibility, we lose a bit of our power to shape our future. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our reactions, our actions, our decisions, and to let go of what we cannot. When we take responsibility for our responses, we retain our power and agency. When we blame others, it might bring temporary relief, but it also builds barriers, damages relationships, and fosters a toxic environment. More importantly, it prevents us from learning from the experience. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or ignoring others' faults. It's about recognizing that the only thing truly within our control is ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, often wrote about turning obstacles into opportunities. He believed that the obstacle in the path becomes the path. By stopping the blame game and examining our role in the challenges we face, we transform obstacles into stepping stones toward greater wisdom and resilience. Imagine working on a project that doesn't meet its goals. It's easy to blame the team, the timing, or the resources. But what if instead you asked yourself, what could I have done differently? Did I communicate effectively? Was I prepared to lead? This kind of introspection requires courage and humility, but it's the only true path to growth. By accepting responsibility, we gain the insights to improve, not just for the future, but for ourselves as individuals. Taking responsibility enriches our character and deepens our understanding of life. It teaches us compassion and empathy as we come to realize that just as we are imperfect, so too are others. We all make mistakes, and we all have room to improve. This realization transforms the way we engage with others, fostering more meaningful and supportive relationships. So, as you continue on your journey of personal growth, reflect on these insights and embrace the courage to change. Next time you find yourself ready to point a finger, pause for a moment and reflect. Before casting blame, take a step back and examine your own role in the situation. What could you have done differently? What is this experience trying to teach you about yourself and your values? The truth is, growth doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from continually evolving, learning, and adjusting our actions. Life is a series of lessons, and each situation offers an opportunity to refine ourselves. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about using them as stepping stones for personal development. Have you ever been in a conversation where it felt like your words were just bouncing off the other person? It's as if they're more focused on their own turn to speak than on actually listening. This is a common dynamic, one where the act of listening is overshadowed by the desire to talk. But true communication is a two-way exchange where both sides feel heard, understood, and valued. When one person constantly talks over the other, it doesn't just interrupt the conversation, it prevents real connection and stunts personal growth. The Stoics, wise in their teachings, believe that the key to wisdom and understanding lies not in speaking, but in listening. They understood that we have two ears and one mouth for a reason, to listen twice as much as we speak. Listening is not just about hearing words, it's an active engagement with another person's thoughts and feelings. It requires patience, openness, and a genuine curiosity about their experience. When we listen deeply, we gain valuable insights not only about others, but about ourselves too. We signal respect, empathy, and a desire to learn, which fosters stronger relationships built on trust and mutual understanding. However, the tendency to talk over others often stems from a desire to assert dominance or prove ourselves. But true confidence isn't about silencing others. It's about being secure enough to listen and embrace differing viewpoints. By humbling ourselves and acknowledging that we don't have all the answers, we open up to a world of new knowledge and experiences. In a professional setting, this becomes even more important. A leader who talks over their team may appear strong at first, but over time, this behavior leads to frustration and disengagement. On the other hand, a leader who listens fosters an environment where creativity, initiative, and collaboration thrive. The key to effective leadership lies in being present, listening to your team, understanding their challenges, and supporting them in meaningful ways. So how can we improve our listening skills? It starts with intention. Before engaging in a conversation, remind yourself of the value in what the other person has to say. Resist the urge to plan your response while they're speaking. Instead, focus on understanding their perspective, ask questions, and reflect on what you hear. Simple steps like these can transform your interactions, making them more productive and fulfilling. The Stoics also taught us the power of silence, not as absence, but as presence. In silence, we are fully engaged, giving space for the world around us to speak. Listening in this way not only deepens our understanding of others, but it helps us connect with our own inner wisdom. Empathy, in its quiet form, bridges the gaps between us and fosters meaningful relationships. Empathy is the quiet strength that allows us to truly understand one another, transcending differences and bringing us closer together. It's the foundation of compassion, and without it, we struggle to relate, to connect, and to grow together. Stoic philosophy values empathy because it helps us navigate the complexities of the human experience with kindness, fairness, and insight. Imagine a manager who fails to recognize the stress his team is under during a tight deadline. His inability to empathize with their challenges leads to frustration, burnout, and decreased morale. On the other hand, a leader who shows empathy, who understands and responds to the emotional needs of their team, creates an environment of support and productivity. Empathy isn't just about being nice, it's about being effective. It's the key to inspiring loyalty, fostering cooperation, and building meaningful connections. To cultivate empathy, we can start by practicing seeing the world through others' eyes. Ask yourself, how might this person be feeling? What might they be going through? These simple questions can help us better understand others and respond with patience and kindness. Additionally, by reflecting on our own experiences, recognizing that we too have felt pain, joy, and frustration, we can connect with the feelings of others. This shared emotional understanding allows us to empathize more deeply, creating stronger bonds and more compassionate interactions. In conclusion, listening and empathy are two of the most powerful tools we have for growth and connection. When we truly listen, when we open ourselves up to others' perspectives, we not only improve our relationships, but we also enhance our own personal development. Stoicism reminds us that the journey toward wisdom isn't about being perfect. It's about being open, reflective, and constantly striving to be better. Turning fear into growth. The Stoic way, fear and failure are universal experiences, ones that we all must face at some point in our lives. They can feel like heavy weights, holding us back, urging us to stay within the safe and familiar. But here's the crucial point. How we respond to these moments shapes the course of our lives. The fear of failure is a powerful force. It tells us to be cautious, to play it safe, or even to avoid playing at all. It whispers that we might not be good enough, or that the cost of trying might be too high. But here's the paradox within this fear. By trying to protect ourselves from failure, we often block the door to our greatest potential. The Stoic philosophers have a compelling way of addressing this. They teach us that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we interpret them. The fear of failure isn't about the actual failure, it's about the stories we tell ourselves about it. If we see failure as a catastrophe, it will feel like one. But if we see it as a learning opportunity, it transforms into a stepping stone toward wisdom and growth. The Stoics encourage us to examine our thoughts and fears critically. What do we really fear about failure? Are those fears truly grounded in reality, or are they exaggerated in our minds? Think back to a time when you hesitated to try something new. Was it because of the fear of failing? Now imagine what would have happened if you had failed. Would it have been as bad as you feared? More often than not, we realize that the consequences of failure are far less dramatic than we anticipated. And even if we do fail, we learn valuable lessons that make us more resilient and wiser. In fact, failure often doesn't mean defeat, it means experience. It's how we respond to failure that matters. 4. Example, the entrepreneur who's afraid to start a new venture or the writer too scared to submit their manuscript. They may never take that first step due to their fear. But every failure is a lesson, one that builds judgment, resilience, and ultimately leads to greater success. This idea aligns perfectly with the Stoic concept of resilience. Stoics didn't believe that we should never fall. Rather, they taught us that true strength lies in our ability to rise every time we fall. Failure doesn't have to stop us. In fact, fear of failure can often prevent us from fully engaging with life, from realizing our true potential, or even from discovering new passions. It can lead to a life full of regrets, not because of the things we did, but because of the things we were too afraid to try. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, embracing life's inherent risks and uncertainties. By confronting our fear of failure, we align ourselves more closely with the natural state of courage and action. One Stoic practice that helps combat the fear of failure is premeditation of malorum, the premeditation of evils. This involves visualizing the worst-case scenario, imagining it in detail and mentally preparing for it. When we do this, we often realize that we are more capable of handling failure than we thought. In fact, the fear of failure can often be more daunting than failure itself. This mental rehearsal not only reduces anxiety, but also helps us prepare a plan for how to handle any challenges that may arise. So how do we start overcoming this fear? One way is by setting small, manageable goals that involve some risk. Every small success builds confidence and reduces the fear associated with bigger risks. Reflecting on past failures is also helpful. When we look back, we often see that the lessons we learned from those experiences helped us succeed in future endeavors. Now, consider the individuals who seem unshakable in their confidence. While confidence is important, there's a line between healthy self-assurance and overconfidence. Overconfidence blinds us to our limitations and can set us up for failure. Think of it like walking through a familiar neighborhood, so focused on your destination that you miss the warning signs of a sidewalk under repair. The Stoics teach us that true confidence isn't about never doubting ourselves. It's about continually questioning and testing our beliefs and abilities. They introduce the concept of the dichotomy of control, which helps us understand what is and isn't within our power. Overconfidence often misleads us into thinking we can control more than we actually can, which leads to unexpected failures. Overconfidence isn't just a minor trait in a colleague. It's a significant psychological barrier that can result in poor decisions, failed projects, and strained relationships. Whether in the workplace or on a personal level, overconfidence can prevent us from seeking help, causing isolation and deeper mistakes. The Stoic remedy for overconfidence isn't to diminish self-esteem, but to foster a balance between confidence and humility. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often wrote about the importance of listening to others and reflecting on one's own faults. He saw overconfidence as a form of hubris, a dangerous trait that not only distances us from others, but also distorts our view of reality. To combat overconfidence, Marcus Aurelius advocated for self-reflection and continuous learning. No matter how much we know, there's always more to learn. Cultivating self-awareness keeps us grounded in reality and protects us from the pitfalls of inflated self-image. A practical way to start this journey is by embracing feedback. When someone critiques our work, it's easy to feel defensive. But every piece of feedback is a gift that provides insights into how we can improve. Another useful step is to regularly set aside time for reflection. Ask yourself, what went well today? What didn't? What can I do better tomorrow? This kind of questioning helps ground our confidence in real achievements and areas for growth. Engaging with diverse perspectives is also key. Overconfidence thrives in echo chambers, where our ideas and decisions aren't challenged. By seeking out opinions that differ from our own, we not only check our overconfidence, but also broaden our understanding and empathy, which are essential for building strong relationships. Ultimately, a Stoic mindset involves recognizing that success is fleeting and failure is inevitable. Understanding that we are not infallible, that we will fail from time to time, helps temper overconfidence. Each failure is not a blow to our self-esteem, but a reminder that growth is a continuous process. This perspective doesn't just protect us from the downsides of overconfidence, it makes us more resilient and adaptable. By embracing failure as part of the journey, we become stronger and more prepared for whatever comes next. So let's keep striving, keep learning, and remember, true wisdom lies in embracing both success and failure with grace. Stay grounded, stay humble, and be wise.